After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending salutation to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I will start by thanking you for attending this lecture. Our topic for today is going to be the purpose of life. Inshallah, we are going to look at it from two perspectives. We have the believers, I'll come to that later, and then we have the non-believers. Even among the non-believers, we have two categories. There are some that believe in God the Creator, but they ascribe partners to Him, like the people of the book. And then there are those that don't even believe in the creation at all. So I'm going to concentrate on those second category that don't believe in the existence of Allah or the Creator. Inshallah, this category of people that don't even believe in the existence of Allah or the Creator, they just believe that anything that happens in this world, the earth, the sun, the moon, everything that happens just happens by chance. But how logical is that? That is the question. How logical is that everything you see in this world, the stars, the moon, everything that you see in this world just happens by chance? That's the question we need to ask. There is one analogy that Sheikh Yasin gave, which is very instructive in this regard. And what he said is that just imagine you have 10 marbles, and then you number them from 1 to 10, and then you put them in a bag. You shake the bag very well, and then you try and see if you'll be able to pick them one by one, pull them one by one, from 1 to 10 in ascending order, without maybe with your eyes closed. How possible is that? It's an experiment that everybody can do. Just go home and try and see if you can pull marbles from 1 to 10 in ascending order from 1 to 10 without your eyes closed. I know there are some scientists out there or some mathematicians. I don't know if somebody can tell me the chances of that happening.
199. What is it over? 10 times 10 minus 1 multiplied by 10 over 2. You don't know the probability chances. N minus 1 multiplied by n over 2.
So the chances of that happening is 26 million to 1. Just 10 marbles, just imagine. Just go home and put 10 marbles in a bag and try and see if you'll be able to pull them out one by one. The chances of that happening is 26 million to 1. So if that is difficult, almost impossible to happen, what more of the creation of Allah? What more of the sun, the moon, all the things that we have in this world? Even according to the scientists, they even said that this Earth that we have here is one planet out of so many planets. Some say it's 9, some say it's 12, with the sun and some other planets. Then there is the Milky Way galaxy, which is a very big galaxy that contains our Earth and then our moon and the sun. And then there is a local group which contains so many Milky Way galaxies. One galaxy alone is around 552 galaxies. And then there is another super galaxy again that contains over 100 such Milky Way galaxies. So if all these things that we have, the galaxies, the sun, the moon, and the earth, every one of them moves in a certain order, there is a certain structure to it. How is it possible for that just to happen by chance? And even the chemists among us, maybe Mallam will be able to say something about it. They said that the whole of this world is made of 92 chemical elements. The hydrogen, the water, hydrogen and oxygen and helium and the rest. So the percentage, for example, of water is hydrogen and oxygen. There is a certain percentage that has to be like there. If it's like that, then it's not going to be water. So the whole of this universe and everything that contains in it, they say is made of only 92 elements. So how possible is it that all these kind of things, they will just happen by chance? That's why if you cannot pull 10 marbles and then you cannot do all these kind of things, then I think it's just logical to assume that somebody must be, there is a creator that has created all these things. It cannot just happen by chance. And like the Sheikh said in one of his lectures, an order cannot come out of an order. There has to be an order that will make all this things to be correct. And we Muslims, we believe in that. We believe that Allah decrees everything. There is a surah there is an ayah that says, the originator of heaven and earth, when he decrees a matter, he will just say kun fayakun, be and be. So Allah is the creator that created everything that we have in this earth. It's not therefore surprising if you ask these people, the non-believers, if you ask them, for example, why do you eat? They will tell you they eat just because they want to live, they want to survive. If you ask them, why do you survive? They will tell you that they survive to eat. So it's a vicious cycle that they go because they don't have purpose in life. Their purpose, if you ask them, why do you eat? They eat to live. And why do you live? They live to eat. Those are the kind of things that it's a continuous vicious cycle because they don't have purpose in life. But Muslims, it's not like that. We believe that Allah is the creator. He is the creator of the heaven and the earth. And in Surah Al-Luqman, it stated clearly, he said, he created the heavens without any pillars that you can see, and has set the earth firm mountains, lest it should shake you. And he has scattered therein moving creatures of all kinds. And we send down water from the sky, and we cause plants of ever goodly kinds to grow therein. In this creation is a science for men of understanding. And again, there is an ayah, again in Surah Al-Imran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, verily, in the creation of the heaven and the earth, in the alternation of the day and the night, there are indeed signs for men of understanding. So we Muslims, we believe that there is a creator. Anything that happens in this world is not just by chance. That's why I advise our brothers. There is one program in BBC, it's called the Horizon. I advise our brothers to go and look at this program. It's very good because it discusses the discoveries of sciences, the nature of how they even discover the nature of the universe. Even though they don't believe in Allah, but it's very instructive because you will see a lot of things, a lot of wonderful things. After looking at this program, I think inshallah, there's one ayah in the Quran that says, those who remember Allah while standing, sitting and lying down on their side, and think deeply about the creation of heaven and earth, and saying, oh Lord, you have not created all this without purpose. Glory to you. You above all, glory to you. Exalted are you above all that they associate with you as partners. Give us salvation from the torment of fire. So if you see this kind of programs, one program especially, Wonders of Universe. There's one program, Wonders of Universe. It's very interesting. I would advise people to go and look at this program because it's very interesting. But is it not surprising to see that some Muslims are behaving as if there is no purpose in this life? This reminds me of a story of a boy and a teacher. The teacher asks the students, he's a primary secondary school student, he asks him, what's your ambition in life? And the student said, I want to finish my secondary school and then go to university. So after university, then what? He said, then I'll go. Then I will get a job. Then if you get a job, then what? Then he said, okay, then I will get married. If you get married, then what? The teacher asked him again. Then I'll have kids. If you have kids, then what? Then he said, maybe I'll go and do my further studies, maybe my master's or my PhD. After I have master's and PhD, then what? He asked again. He said, maybe I'll get a better job. After that, then what? Then he said, maybe I'll grow old. After that, then what? Again, the teacher asked. Then finally, after what seems to be like a very long time, he looked straight into the teacher's eyes and said, then I'll die. So eventually, he has not factored that at all in his whole life. He's just thinking of the whole world. And this is the point. Whatever happens in this world, whether you are a believer, whether you are a non-believer, whether you are a practicing Muslim, whether you are not a practicing Muslim, whether you are a man, whether you are a human, everybody is going to die. And this is confirmed in the following verse of the Quran. Everyone should taste the death. Then unto us you shall return. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Everyone should taste death. Then unto us you shall return. Think about this for a moment. This world is just like a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt you usually see in shopping complexes and then maybe in airports. Just like a very large conveyor belt. Whether you sit down on that conveyor belt, whether you stand on that conveyor belt, whether you sleep on that conveyor belt, it will take you from point A to point B. So that's how we are in this life. Whatever you do in this life, definitely you are going to reach a destination. And this thing has been captured very eloquently in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Inshiqaq. And it says, Ya ayyuhal insanu innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqi. O man, verily you are returning towards your Lord with your deeds and actions, good or bad. A sure returning, and you will meet, i.e. the result of your deed, what you did. So this ayah of the Quran is saying that whatever you do, whether you do good, whether you do bad, whether you do good, whether you do evil, eventually you are going to meet your Lord. And in Tafsir of Ibn Kathir, he quoted a hadith by Abu Dawud at Tayalisi, who recorded from Jabir, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Jabir said, O Muhammad, live how you wish, for verily you will die. Love what you wish, for verily you will part with it. And do what you wish, for verily you will meet it indeed. So whatever happens in this world, whether you are doing good, whether you are doing bad, whether you are doing evil, whether whatever you are doing, eventually we are all going to die. According to one Mufassirin, he's saying that even the choice of word, Ya ayyuhal insan, is instructive. I don't know, who can tell me the origin of insan?
Insan.
What?
Insan, بكثرة نسيانه.
Nisyan.
Forgetfulness.
Forgetfulness. So, the origin of this word, Allah called us with one of the qualities of human beings. We are forgetful. We forget the purpose of our life. We are so preoccupied with this world. We are preoccupied with the pleasures of this dunya. We are preoccupied with the glitters of this world, our children, our spouses. As children, all we care about is our video games and maybe our toys. In youth, all we care is about beauty and maybe how to impress others. In old age, all we care about is our jobs, is our businesses. Everybody you see, for example, I'm here, I do my masters. I came from Nigeria to do my masters. So everything we are doing in this world, we are thinking about the worldly things. But then, what provisions we have for the last day? A smart person will make sure that he has enough provision for the akhirah. Of course, definitely you have to do some things in this world, because you cannot just stay here without having any provision. But everything you are going to do in this world, it should be in the service of your final aim, which is to acquire enough goodwill, enough good deeds. You can have wealth, you can have riches, but they should all be in the service of acquiring good deeds. You can have children, you can have spouses, but they should not be a source of fitna to you. You can have influence and power, but you make sure that you use them in the service of Allah. So my brothers and sisters, this life has a purpose, as is clearly from the discussion we have been doing. As Muslim, if somebody asks you, just let's assume the question that they ask other disbeliever. They ask him, why do you eat? He said he eats to live. If they ask you as a Muslim, why do you eat? Of course, you say, I eat to live. Why do you live? But if you live, then what happens? Then the answer should be, then I will worship Allah. If you worship Allah, then what happens? Then the answer should be, you want to have gained His pleasures and enter the paradise, and to avoid entering the hellfire. And then if they ask you, if you enter paradise, then what will happen? Then inshallah, if you enter the paradise, you will stay there forever and ever. And this brings me to one important thing. I want to ask you again. Who can tell me what is the largest number in this world?
Kalimatullah.
So the largest number?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
The largest number.
One single number.
Yes.
You have to decide infinity.
That's right. That's the largest number.
If you had 1 plus infinity,
It's still infinity. Infinity is always infinity.
infinity plus infinity.
It's infinity. Infinity multiplied by infinity is still infinity.
So that's the point.
That's very nice.
If you look at it, like you said, it's infinity. This point of infinity, there is a program on BBC. They are confused about this infinity because they try to do experiment. What is the largest number? People are saying infinity. People are saying infinity plus infinity. They even said, okay, if there is infinity plus infinity is infinity, then what is the largest number? So it means that they are confused. But inshallah, if you are lucky to enter paradise, we are going to stay there inshallah forever. Is that not enough motivation for us to do what is good? Just imagine you have something that you are enjoying in this world. Just imagine that that thing is not going to go forever, or maybe even for a day or for 2 days. Is it enough? Is not enough motivation for us to do what is good? On the other hand, just imagine the hellfire. Is it not enough deterrence for us to do what is to avoid what is bad? What of the judgment day? Do you think about the judgment day and the hellfire? There is a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Isa at-Tirmidhi recorded Ibn Abbas that Abu Bakr said, "O Messenger of Allah, verily your hair has turned grey." And the Prophet ﷺ said, Surah Al-Hud, Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah Al-Mursalat, Amma Yatasa'alun, Idha Shamsu Kuyirat and Tahwir have turned my hair grey. In another hadith, it says Surah Al-Hud and his sisters. So just imagine, have you contemplated these ayahs? Have you gone to these surahs and find out the reason why the Prophet ﷺ said that they have turned his hair grey? These ayahs and these surahs, they are talking about the day of judgment. They are talking about the day of Qiyamah. They are talking about the people of the right, the people that will collect their book on the right hand, and then the people that will collect their books from the left hand. If you look at for example, Surah Amma Yatasa'alun, Surah from verse 17, where Allah is saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir bismillahir rahmanir rahim, Inna yawmal fasli kana miqata, yawma yunfaqu fis suri fata'atuna afwaja, futihatis samaa'u fakanat abwaba, wasiratul jibalu fakanat saraba, inna jahannama kanat mirsada. Verily the day of decision is a fixed time, the day when the trumpet will be blown, and you shall come forth in crowds, and the heaven should be opened, and it will become as gates, and the mountains should be moved away from their places, and they will all be as if they were mirage. Truly hell is a place of ambush. So consider this ayahs. It's talking about the day of judgment. It definitely is going to come. And then the hell is there as a place of ambush for the people of the book, for people that they have their book by the left hand side. And in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, إِذَا وَقَعَتْ الْوَاقِعَةُ لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ خَافِضَةٌ رَافِعَةٌ إِذَا رُجَّتِ الْأَرْضُ رَجًّا وَبُسَّتِ الْجِبَالُ بَسًّا فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنبَثًّا وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ وَأَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. When the event, i.e. the day of resurrection befalls, and there can be no denial of it befalling. Bringing song, those who will enter into hell low, exalting others, those who will enter into paradise. When the earth will be shaken with terrible shake, and when the mountain will be powdered to dust, so that they will become floating dust particles. And you all will be in 3 groups. So those on the right hand, those who will be given the record in the right hand, how fortunate will those be on the right hand? As respect for them, because they will enter paradise. And those on the left hand, those who will be given their record in the left hand. And how unfortunate will those be on the left hand? As a disgrace for them, because they will enter hell. And the foremost in Islam, in this life of this world, and the very first call to embrace Islam, will be foremost in paradise. Let's look at this ayah. There will be 3 kinds of people, 3 groups. The group that will have their records on the right hand, and there are group that will have their records on the left hand, and then there are group, the foremost. May Allah put us on the group that will have their records on the right hand, and then give us from the foremost. So, if Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be saying this about these ayahs, what more of us? What are we doing to make sure that we are avoiding this kind of thing that will happen to us in the hereafter? The day of judgment, what will happen? We have seen from our discussion that we have 2 problems. The disbelievers, they have the problem of creation because they don't believe that Allah exists. They don't believe in creation. And maybe if they believe that Allah exists, and maybe if they believe in the creation, they might be worshiping Allah the right way of worship. And maybe it's not surprising if you see, for example, some people that revert back to Islam, you will see that they are very committed because they've already, it's a conviction that they have, that's what brought them to Islam. But for believers, our problem is not the problem of belief. Our problem is the problem of worship. From what you have said so far, based on the creation and then the worship, there is one ayah in the Quran that specifically talks about the purpose of life. I don't know if there is anybody here that can tell me that ayah, or tell me the purpose of life from what we have discussed. There is one ayah specific, very short ayah that answers this question. What is the purpose of life? Alhamdulillah. That is it. Therefore, the short answer for this is that وَمَا خَلَقْتَ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. Oh Allah, Allah said, and I, Allah, created not the jinn and mankind except that they should worship me. So that is the point. So whatever we are doing in this world, should be in service of this. That's our purpose. Whatever we are doing, even if, for example, now we are here studying masters or PhD, if we keep in our mind that we are doing it for the sake of Allah, then inshallah we don't have a problem. But if we make it as the end, not a means to an end, and that's why the problem is. Everything we are doing in this world, we have to make sure that the ultimate aim is for us to worship Allah so that we will gain His pleasure and enter His paradise, and to avoid Jahannam, inshallah. So with this, I will just make it open for discussion. Thank you very much. Okay.
Jazakumullah khair, Brother Abdullah. I think this is a very fruitful, and I'm very happy that you have touched on one aspect, especially in this community where a lot of people do not even believe in God. Many people are atheists, or agnostic, and so the most difficult thing actually is convincing them actually that God does exist. And there is an example which I would like to share, which I think is important, which can help us as well, especially when we deal with people who are agnostic. At the height of Arab nationalism, when communism was entering deep into the Arab world, in the era of Jamal Abdel Nasser in the later 50s up to the 70s, it was inserted into the curriculum of some of Arab countries, basically teaching them that God does not exist. So there is this example, I think, of a school teacher I had it a long time in one of the lectures. I don't know whether it was Abdullahi Kishk or somebody like that. That this teacher went to a class and teaching students that, trying to prove to the students that God does not exist. And then the students were listening. He said, "Okay, today I will prove to you that God does not exist." And everybody was quiet. And he said, "I will ask you questions about things that do exist. And if you could prove that they do exist, then anything that does not exist, then it's a lie." So he just looked at these students and said, can you see the fan in the class? They said, "Yes." "Does the fan exist?" "Yes." Everybody answered. "Can you see the window? Can you see the blackboard and everything?" Everybody was answering yes. And then he said, "Can you see God?" They said, "No, we can't see God." He said, "Then God does not exist." And everybody was quiet in the class. And then suddenly there was a student in this class who is the son of one of the prominent mashayikh, alhamdulillah, who is getting a good tarbiyah. He raised his hand and he said, "Yes, I have a question." He said, "Okay, what is your explanation?" He said, "Okay, I would like to prove that God exists." So he asked everybody in the class, "Can you see the fan?" They said, "Yes." So which means the fan exists. "Can you see the board?" All the questions that the teacher asked, they said, "Yes." And then he said, "Can you see the teacher?" They said, "Yes, we can see the teacher," which means the teacher does exist. And then he said, "Can you see the sense of the teacher?" They said, "No." He said, "Then the teacher is senseless."
Nonsense.
He's nonsense. He's mad. He doesn't have sense. And then everybody took up this issue. And this, he said, it is not a proof that the fact that you cannot see something to say that it does not exist. If you agree that anything that we cannot see that does not exist, then we believe that the teacher doesn't have a sense. So sometimes really the use of logic can be applicable in these circumstances, and sometimes, Allah subhanAllah, it comes naturally. I had an experience in 2004, 2005, very new in this country, and I had a Chinese friend. We were working with him. This guy spends all his time looking for money rather than paying attention to his studies. And the exam comes, and he was struggling. And this guy was an atheist. He told me that religion is just an idea. One day I was passing in the school and I saw this guy calling me, Jamil. And I said, "The exam time is coming and I haven't, please pray to God to make me pass."
Oh, no.
I said, "Oh, today?" And this guy, I had a lot of discussion with him, trying to prove to him that God exists. And every time he will tell me that God is an idea. And then suddenly, because of the exam, it occurred to him that, okay, God does exist, and he was asking me to pray. I said, "Okay." Even this is an achievement. This is Allah.
Any other contribution?
The issue of existence of God. First of all, before that, I think as a contribution to the fact that, or to the topic, purpose of life, as the presenter brought it as the last point, that last point encapsulates the whole topic. That is, we are here for a purpose. And that purpose is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said it more than once in the glorious Quran, that He has not created the heavens and the earth abatha, for nothing. No. He has created the heavens and the earth for a purpose. And when the Quran mentions heavens and earth, it's not the globe that we see, that is pictured from space. This skies we see is what you call ad-dunya, the one that is close to you, min dana in Arabic, something that is near to you. And then, so the word in heavens is what contains the entire world as we see it, and all the planets, and all the galaxies, and all the Milky Ways, and all the stars, those that have been discovered and those that have not been discovered. Any space scientist worth his salt will tell you that there lies out in space tremendous amount of information that nobody knows. Everything that we know of space science is very little. That's the tip of an iceberg. And this is true in any field of knowledge. Talk of any field of knowledge, scholars in that knowledge will tell you that there is too much yet undiscovered. And this confirms what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Isra, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. You have not been given of knowledge but very little. And Allah brought this statement immediately after another one that takes us to that point. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. They ask you about soul. So just this question that we have talked about, you can also ask of soul. Ask anybody, where exactly is your soul? Nobody can answer you positively, definitively. I also watched a program over NTA in Nigeria where it was something interesting. Just they took their cameraman and then they pictured graveyards. And then they came back to hospitals. Interview medical doctors. Okay, doctor, please, where exactly life is? Where is it in the human body? We know that if you cut off the head of somebody, the person will die. So I said, does that mean life is just
The head?
no, on the around the neck? Because if you behave the person through the neck, the person dies. Then doctor, it was very interesting. Suddenly you find that the person will have some deep thinking momentarily. Say, no, it's not there. Okay, what of the brain? That important area. Maybe life is there. No. Then is it in the stomach? The heart? No. So where is it? Nobody can pinpoint exactly where there is life. If you prick it, then it will go. Then soul. Where is soul? Because people know, especially people of religion, even philosophers agree that the body is different from the soul. That when somebody dies, the body is like a box, dropped. But that soul lives on. So these are questions that need our beg for answers. In this, I find this book by Dr. Maurice Buchel a very valuable book. He has written 2 books. I've read one thoroughly, but the other, he has written answers from Holy Scriptures, Quran, Bible, and science. Answers from Holy Scriptures. The origin of life. Yes, that's the other one. The origin of life, answers from Holy Scriptures. And in it, he dealt a very big blow, especially against Darwinism. In fact, I had to tell people when they came visiting the Discover Islam Week tent, a couple with their daughter, they don't believe in God clearly, and they have this belief in Darwinism or evolution. So I don't know, we were told to take people lightly to argue with them, but it got to a point I told them that evolution is very unscientific. I said it's an escapist way. When people fail to understand a concept and they cannot explain it, then they deny it. It's an escapist way. But there are a lot of things that you can understand that will prove Darwinism wrong. In fact, I was surprised, as I told them, in Britain you still find some scientists subscribing to evolution. I was telling them that I thought this is just something that is part of racism or something. What the right word? When something belongs to you, you just get attached to it. Because Darwin is British. You find a lot of scientists in this country agreeing with Darwinism. But fundamentally, I gave them the example I can still remember from the book of Dr. Maurice Buchel. Because one of their core beliefs is survival of the fittest. that is things or parts of the body that are inimical to the survival of the animal will diminish with time. They will go away. But in that book he said, he started with the normal thing of the human body. He said the appendix were told that it could be removed without any problem and nothing will happen to the person. But then he went to the animal. He said this reindeer, we know reindeer that has these horns, you know, with branches. He said if it were true, that kind of horn is harmful to the animal, especially when it is running away from an animal of prey, because it will just hook it so long as it gets into a bushy area. That is the end of it. Secondly, a lot of animals, that one inclusive, as they run, when they are afraid and they are running away from an animal of a predator, between their hooves, certain glands secrete some chemicals, and this predator will just sniff and get to the animal wherever it is. He said, if it is true, why do they still emit these chemicals? So these are the sort of things. But I just want to draw our attention to two things. Ultimately, one is coming back to that verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُم مِّن رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَن يُطْعِمُونَ. That I have not created man and jinn but to worship me. I do not require from them risk, wealth, or food. وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَن يُطْعِمُونَ. And I do not need to be fed. Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهُ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ. Allah is the bestower of riches. ذُو قُوَّةِ الْمَتِينَ. Powerful and irresistible. So that is our purpose. We are here, as the presenter said, all we are doing is just to help us, to support us, so that we worship Allah better. And then lastly, I want to comment on what the presenter said, probably that those who don't believe in the Creator, they may believe in Creator, but they associate partners with Him. That believers, okay, those that don't believe have the problem of belief, but we don't have problem of belief, we have problem of worship. Now, honestly, a lot of us that say we are believers, we also have problem of belief. I'm telling you, because some of the terrible things that people that call themselves Muslims perpetrate is a clear proof that they don't really believe. That is the fact. Because if they really believe in the day of judgment, if they really believe that they will get or they will be held responsible for their actions, if they really believe that they will one day be present before Allah and be held accountable, they will not do. They will not behave in that. Haven't we heard of stories of people saying that they prefer the shame of the hereafter over the shame of this world? That for them to be ashamed here, they better be ashamed in the hereafter. Whoever says this, I'm telling you, does not really believe in that hereafter, or does not know what is hellfire. I will tell you one good example. I know that person is purely ignorant. You know, sorry to say with the Fulani, you know this game, they will say a Fulani man. But that one was real. In this our travels to southern Nigeria, in part of these Dawah activities, to meet some of our brothers and to meet those that are accepted Islam, so we met this brother. I think they are the Fulani groups from Cameroon, because you know Cross Rivers is also close to that. He made a statement that really jolted me. It was spontaneous. I said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Because I never had a person make such statement. They were having problems He was one of the elders of the village, or the city, or the town. And they had disagreements with the larger community. And he said he would even no more go to the mosque. We were just about to leave the village. His son came to us, confided and said secretly that, please, his father is having this problem with the community. Please, can we intervene? So we decided to postpone our journey to later part of the day just to see. Luckily, he accommodated us. So we called him in the morning. When we mentioned that, immediately he was furious as he started narrating the event. So we begged him, please go back to the mosque. So he said in his, they have problem pronouncing some Hausa words. He said, Bajan Jeva. It was that, though I said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So you see this person clearly, yes, sorry, I'm taking much time. Clearly, either doesn't understand what is hellfire, or he doesn't believe it exists. So we also have that problem. We need to really keep checking, assessing. The Prophet ﷺ said, I will complete with this hadith, Al-Kayisu man dana nafsahu wa amila lima ba'da al-maut. Wal-ajizu man ittaba'a nafsahu hawaha thumma yatamanna 'ala Allah. That the strong person, the intelligent person, the one that is wise amongst Muslims is man dana nafsahu, is the person that constantly assesses himself, constantly asks questions about how he or she conducts his or her life. وَعَمِلَ لِمَا بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ, and he works towards the hereafter. وَالْعَاجِزُ, and the weak one, the feeble-minded person, the one that is shallow in thinking, مَنِ اتَّبَعَ نَفْسَهُ هَوَاهَا, is the one that follows his whims and caprices, just does as he wishes. When he might say, go this way, he goes. Go that way, he goes, like a football. ثُمَّ يَتَمَنَّى عَلَى اللَّهِ, and he keeps putting hopes in Allah, that Allah is forgiving and merciful, so just don't worry. May Allah protect us.
Maybe somebody will talk about this. Maybe there is the issue of shaitan.
No, definitely.
So I don't know if you can put it in context, because some of these things, you cannot even understand them. If somebody does something, you not even understand why would somebody do this kind of thing. He says he believes, and definitely you cannot fault his belief.
Yes.
But definitely there is something that is making him do all those
his
kind of
action.
His actions
proves that.
disproves that. So maybe if there is anybody that can talk about the influence of shaitan, maybe it would be a good way of saying this.
I think I foresee what a kind of crack ignorance of Islam itself in this person. There is this beautiful poetic statement which Abdullahi ibn Fodi also used to quote. He used to say, ليس اليتيم الذي قد مات والده إن اليتيم يتيم العلم والأدب لا خير في رجل حر بلا أدب نعم ولو كان منصوبا إلى العربي. That an orphan is not a person who lost his father. إن اليتيم يتيم العلم والأدب. An orphan is the one who lost knowledge, its foundation, and the knowledge of adab. He said, لا خير في رجل حر بلا أدب نعم ولو كان منصوبا إلى العربي. There is no greatness, no goodness in a person who lacks knowledge and adab, even if he is not related, even if he is related to the Arabs. This is just a kind of trying to emphasize to see the kind of knowledge. I'm saying this because some of our people that you see, subhanAllah, Allah, somebody narrated a story to me recently, which could signify some of this. One of the highest Muslim officials in Nigeria could not read Surah Al-Fatiha. He could not read Surah Al-Fatiha properly. We pray with them. This is the level, and therefore that is why some of them, they easily get misled when these ulama su go and live with them. So potentially the shaitan is there, but ignorance is the worst. Because if there is an amount of ilm, no matter how little, or people who are learned very close to him, they would guide him. There are people who have committed sins that are more grievous than what he has committed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives them. Yet, he thinks that he has already gotten his share. Allah understand. And it could be maybe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah open, I don't want to say it, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open his heart. And may he get people who have the understanding, proper understanding of Islam to guide him, to show him that what Allah has given him from his rizq is nothing. It decreases nothing from the wealth of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What he has, no matter how much it is. So I really very much relate it to ignorance. Allah understand.
That is a very important point, because some people will think that the sin that they have committed is so big that God will not forgive them.
Which is wrong.
Which is wrong. So any contribution?
Thank you very much for this particular discourse. I think it's very important that we know why we're here, because we're not just here like animals. We are at a higher level. We're, just like the stories you recounted, it's not just to come, eat, do the functions that you're supposed to do, which is quite mechanical, which happens to everybody, and then follow a natural course. We all have a purpose. And sometimes one looks at himself, of course, to reflect on the purpose of life, to see in your own capacity as a student, a civil servant, what are you doing that is contributing positively to the life of the citizenry or to the community? Because then that is where you are, and you're supposed to help the community in that role that Allah has placed you in. So you're either doing it rightly or wrongly. And if you're doing it rightly, you should continue and aspire to do it better. And if you're doing it badly, then you should put a reverse gear and then take a correct course or the correct direction. A lot of problems obviously are happening to us, to our Muslim community in general, and part of it is because we don't appreciate these things. We just think that we just come here, eat, enjoy like every other person, and just that's it. And if you look at the average person here, especially our colleagues that we work with, if you see their life and you ask them this question, and this is exactly what they say: I'm here to enjoy maximally. There's no other life. So to them, this is it. So make the most of it. So, and that's what is in their mind. As if you ask the next question, can you deconstruct it for me? What do you mean by saying that I'm here to enjoy? Oh, get your salary, you go on holiday, when it is weekend, you go and drink alcohol, commit all the vices that are there, and then that's it, you chill out. So that means you de-stress yourself in readiness for the following week, so that when you come, you're fresh, ready to perform your duties. That's how it is. And if you ask the other question, you say, okay, we talk about all these things, you go and drink. If you look at all the alcohol-related admissions to hospital and the amount of money the government spends on alcohol, that's quite astonishing. And we would instantaneously appreciate the fact that we're happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already warned against this particular Kabair, and amongst them, when some of them, after a night out and coming with a hangover, They complain of all sorts of things. And I can remember one of the nurses just came on a duty on a Saturday morning, and the talk went on that, oh, they had a nice time, night out, blah, 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 the following night. So you enjoyed it. I said, oh, yeah, it's fine. And she was given a job, to look after a patient that came who has crashed, actually, and needed resuscitation. So while she was gathering all the stuff that were needed, she suddenly started being sick.
It's 9 o'clock. In 5 minutes, inshallah. Right.
Just call the prayer when it is time.
So she started vomiting right next to the patient.
Shit.
And so where is the enjoyment? So these are the sort of issues that we wanted to see here. And also, quite quickly, another lady who happened to work as an auxiliary nurse, who was kind of talking out of frustration to say that there is no God. And I was asking her, why do you say that? You're healthy. Look at the next person that is about to die there. We know that, it's already been decided that nothing is going to be done for that particular patient. We're just waiting for the heart to stop. There is no intervention, no treatment, nothing. That decision has been taken. So we're just waiting for him to just for the heart to stop, and you pronounce him dead, and then take him to the mortuary. That's it. For him, that is done. But the heart is still kicking, so we're just waiting. I said, look, this is what's going to happen to this person. And me and you are in line. I don't know whether I will go before you or you go before me, but this is definitely going to happen. So who is organizing these things? Who is arranging these things? Are this just happening by accident? And the next thing she asks is, if there is a God, why did he take my son? Because her son was killed in an accident. In a car being driven by his friend who took alcohol, and then the car spun out of control, hit a tree, and he died. I said, no, these are just tests. The fact that God exists doesn't mean that these things will not occur. For us is that we need to keep moving and doing the right things, and the best of mankind are those who contribute positively to mankind itself.
Yes.
So I think that is one thing I can take from this. I think because of time, we have to.
You can do a draft for us.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala benefit us from what we have learned. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inform us of things that we do not know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us better Muslims, live and die as Muslims. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring peace to our country and to all Muslim nations, and may Allah ease out the difficulties in which people live. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us and forgive our shortcomings. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.